We're good. All right, cool.
So
we're light on attendance, so that means you guys get to ask more questions, which is good. So I'll just give a quick rundown and introduce everyone, and then you guys can fire questions at us as much as you want. We don't have a presentation. The entire purpose of the community panel is just for you guys to fire ideas at us, for you to talk about any issues that you have. If you want to talk about ISD, the Fansite program, the Alliance tournament, what we're doing with esports, if you want to complain that our forum moderators are bad, that kind of stuff, yeah, feel free to do so. It's all down to you guys. So yeah, we'll just go from the opposite end of the desk. That's way over. That handsome gentleman on the end is CCP Phantom. He's our volunteer coordinator and senior community developer. Then we have CCP Tara, who is our French linguistic owner, and she works for French community too. And we have the gentleman in the hat who always hides, is CCP Frame. He's our senior community developer for Dust 514. Then some of you will recognize CCP Leeloo, CSM coordinator and Russian community coordinator. Then we have CCP Shadowcat, who is our German linguistics owner, and she does a hell of a lot of work for our localization department, and she also works with CCP Phantom on German community. Then we have the all-famous Mr. G, CCP Guard, who works on pretty much everything, in fact. He has a finger in all of the pies, but he mainly deals with the 07 show and all of our streaming. Then we have CCP Gargant, one of the tallest people until recently at CCP. And he's our esports coordinator and community developer. He works on the Alliance tournament, New Eden Open, and everything related to Fanfest PvP2. And then the gentleman with the illustrious hair beside me is CCP Logibro. He's our fanside coordinator. I recently came over from working on Dust to work on the EVE project. And then myself, I'm CCP Falcon. I'm the community manager for CCP. For EVE and Dust, and hopefully eventually Valkyrie too, when we get it released. So it's pretty much kind of an open floor for you guys, just to talk to us about any questions that you have. You can direct questions at the people who can answer them from the respective responsibilities that they have. So if you guys have any questions or any thoughts or anything you feel that we could do a little bit better, or anything, ideas that you have, then you can fire them at us. I see a gentleman very familiar sat in the middle there. What's up, Sanuria?
I had a question about graphs as they relate to the community. I'm terrible at numbers, but graphs I love. And I like when the community team publishes dev blogs about either demographics on the official forums or play styles. How is there going to be more graphs about the community?
It's a wonderful question.
I would say with CCP Quant, isn't it?
Yeah, so
CCP Quant doing his thing and weaving magic with I would not be surprised if there are a few more graphs in the future.
Yeah, we've actually, so a little bit of background on community and where we've been in the last year, because it relates kind of loosely to this question. So I'll meander through it and then get back to your question. We used to be part of customer relations management, and after Fanfest last year, so we were in the team that is also customer support. And last year we actually moved to marketing, so we're under the marketing discipline now. And we form part of a team called the communications team. And this is half community and half corporate public relations. So we work directly with our PR teams now, so we get a lot more data that we could put into graphs, which would make you happy. I can see you smiling already. So yeah, we deal quite a bit with our analytics team, and our analytics team actually want to start putting more statistics out. We've got a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a couple of us been posting like, random stats on Twitter now and again, number of jumps completed last week, that kind of thing, a number of ship kills, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there's always scope for us to like drop in some random dev blogs with statistics from the EVE universe in them as well. And I'm sure the ops guys would love to do the same with like, server stuff too. So it's definitely something we can consider.
Yeah. And if you're interested in statistics from the EVE universe, I very highly recommend you go to the EVE keynote.
Yeah, that'll be a lot.
Yeah,
it's
going to be good.
You go into the CSM presentation, evolution of the CSM tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of graphs because I was too lazy putting my slides together, so it's mainly graphs.
I also know that CCP Quant found out he can get Reddit karma for posting data from EVE.
That was
so that's probably going to act as a propellant for it too.
There's also Angus CCP Manifest, who constantly tries to hawk armor on Reddit and likes to have as much as possible.
His nemesis on the EVE subreddit is probably the New Eden newsbot.
Yeah, which has all the karma. So yeah, if there's any other questions that you guys have, or anything you guys want to talk about. Oh, another one from Zanuri. Let's go. Keep them rolling.
When I look at the being a product or service, I'm constantly looking at how I as an end user would be more engaged. And one of the things I like, and this was some time ago, if you went to the official Eve website, they had a ticker that would scroll market data.
Yeah.
And if you're a person who has no idea what Eve is, you look at this and you're like, okay, well, this looks familiar. This looks like, you know, a
Yeah.
finance channel or something. And that provides a palatable incentive for people that are just into numbers.
Yeah.
Do you think that something similar could be deployed that was less about the value of titanium, for example, and more about, on average, how many more of this ship type was destroyed today, and then compare it to yesterday, the day before, to give people looking at the front end of the user experience more granularity as to what is happening, and then find a way to tie that into how they are being keep real and all that?
I think it's a pretty cool idea. One of the things, when you were talking about tickers and stuff like that, one of the things that a couple of the community team has started to do in conjunction with CCP Loki is work on the scope videos. And one of the things we're doing is contributing like random player news and stuff like that to those videos. So yeah, I mean, I don't see why we couldn't put a ticker into circulation on the website. It's just something that obviously has to be put into a sprint for a web developer and has to go into a backlog somewhere, so God knows when it would happen, because our web team is like incredibly busy. But yeah, I'm glad we're recording this, because suggestions like this are like what help us out, you know what I mean? If you guys can see something you've suggested here on our websites or a feature on the forums or whatever or something like that, then obviously you guys know that we're listening and it's something solid. Shoot.
When you publish dev blogs with news, sometimes they will be updated,
Uh-huh.
but you can only see the date what that something has been changed, but you cannot see what has been changed. Is it possible that you can mark these changes?
In some cases, we probably wouldn't actually want to mark those changes
Yeah,
because
yeah.
for the most part, it might be like changing the capitalization of something that was incorrectly capitalized, or
Yeah,
where it
yeah,
was
yeah.
not right. A link was slightly misaligned, or we added a link to something later, or something like that. In some cases, as far as tracking the changes that we would make in the devlog, I mean, for the most part, there's not a real great deal of importance for the historical versions. Like, there's not really much stuff. I mean, why would you actually want to see the historical versions and the previous versions of a particular devlog? Like, I'm curious as to what your use case is.
I'm doing a lot of translations for the German.
Ah, okay.
Ah, okay, so,
Yeah.
Something has been changed, so I must go to the complete
yeah.
Of course.
what happened. I must be changed in the translation.
Alrighty.
Something we could start to do, to be
yeah.
honest, if we update a blog, yeah.
But in the meantime, though,
suggestion.
what I would recommend is like an interim solution. I believe that the RSS feed only uses the original version, if I'm not mistaken. That's one of the things at the moment. Like if you look at the RSS feed version and just compare that using, there's lots of text different tools out there, to the current version, that would probably give you a list of all the things that haven't changed. And if that doesn't work, you can definitely go visit the subreddit, because the New Eden Newsbot definitely doesn't update its version on Reddit.
It's dumb, but it has a lot of karma, sadly. So.
No problem. No, but it's, I mean, for that type of thing, if it's just for people who are doing a lot of translation stuff, like we love to support that sort of stuff, and we've been doing a lot of stuff in the past, and I'm sure some of the other people in the panel can talk more to that, but I'm sure in some cases we might be able to like help you out of that if you like poke us. Maybe, I don't know if someone else down the table might be able to speak to that.
Absolutely. I mean, as Logibro and Falcon said, changes in dev blogs, they're usually done only for typos or capitalization, but if there's some substantial changes, then there's always at the end an edit and things like this was added, this has changed and stuff like that. But so that should make the translation a bit easier if changes coming up. But I would like to take this opportunity and just thank especially you and other German players for all the work. It's just incredible if you just look over that, all the translation, all the blogs, news, they're always translated really super fast. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, also from me, thank you.
Yeah, it is very much appreciated.
Yeah, evidently it's too fast because you can get it all translated before we actually fix any typos.
Which is very efficient. So yeah, I mean, the other thing that we do tend to edit, I mean, it's very rare that we actually will edit a devlog after it's released. It's usually like just like people pointed out for capitalization or small changes in text. No real content changes.
No.
But in terms of wow, being photographed is really distracting when you're trying to do
Strike a
it.
pose.
But yeah, I mean, the one thing that we do change a lot that generally doesn't get localized is patch notes. Because sometimes, you know, if something doesn't make it into a release, we'll have to remove it. Or if last minute additional features go in, then sometimes we update the patch notes after they've been released and they don't get pulled to the RSS feed, that kind of thing. So it's mainly patch notes that would be changed sort of pretty fluidly rather than a devlog. I mean, I'm curious, like, do you guys actually look at localizing patch notes as well? Or is it just like major content stuff in terms of like devlogs and news? Do you guys generally tend to localize patch notes as well, or is it just devlogs? Oh, so you do patch notes too? Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know that. Like, because yeah, some of the terminology can be quite hotly contested by some of our localized communities. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Those two, I think, these two had a question.
3 actually.
Oh,
Three,
yeah,
four,
three.
what many
So,
questions?
Let's just start with you in here in the front.
Yeah, so during the Alliance tournament, you have the Jita cam, which is obviously wildly popular. Have y'all thought about doing random cams around everywhere else outside of the Alliance tournaments? Maybe just a stream of random.
Two factors with that. One, everybody likes to crowd the camera, and that can actually place undue load on a lot of different locations. And the Virtual Worlds team kind of shouts at us when we do that, when we don't have any reasonable justification for doing that. And the second thing is actually as well free intel in some cases. Like Jita, for the most part, is not too big an issue, and it's probably like that for most of the major trade hubs because everybody's there essentially. But for some more remote locations, or if we go like nullsec or somewhere, and we're sitting in a cloaked, indestructible ship and giving people intel, it's not great.
Yeah, it could be a little bit troublesome in that respect, but I'm all for that kind of stuff. I mean, Gargant and Garda generally are streaming guys. I mean, what do you guys think about it?
I think it's cool if it's like, if we're not like streaming from, you know, someone's contested station somewhere in deep in Null or something. Then
I think it's interesting that as soon as we start broadcasting from a system, somebody says, "Oh, I've had enough of this system," and therefore people like seem to flip around on whether they want it or not. And then when we stop, they say, "Where is it?" But yeah, so I mean, doing it from random things randomly, it would be interesting, but we generally don't have the capacity in a streaming sense to do it. And I would rather use our channel to stream somebody else, like hosting somebody or something like that, rather than us streaming from a random jump gate somewhere in a system somewhere where, well, Intel aside, I'm not very worried about that. I'm more interested in, like, we could use our resources for better things for the community, in my opinion. But doing it for broadcasts like this, where we have an extended broadcast where we know there are going to be pauses, it's very good to have something like this to fall back on. Definitely.
It's also entertaining when people get suicide gang live on camera. It's always good fun.
Yeah, man, creating content.
Yeah.
And somebody flies an obelisk through the camera so that you can see the backside of it just gracefully going away and then gets bumped by a Macario.
It's always nice. All right, next question. Who do we have? Gentleman in the red and black shirt.
I may be wrong about assuming this, but I assume that the This Is Eve trailer came from work with you guys. And
It came from the marketing team, yeah. From the trailer team and the marketing team. But yeah, shoot. Go on.
yeah, because, well, you know, Eve is about us, players, and about stories, and This Is Eve trailer, and Eve is Real trailers is a bit of a whole, I don't know, whole trend in a sense. And, well, we'll just know a bit about how you guys see that and how you participate in it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, there was a few of us who were in the initial concept meetings for it. And there was like, initially we were talking about kind of using voice actors to do like reenactments of stuff that players have done, or to give like kind of really super smooth, like, you know, Hollywood style voiceovers for the trailer. And then it just came to the point where like we wanted to kind of show shit that was more real, like stuff that you guys had done, stuff that, you know, where there was actually emotion in people's voices and people were invested in the stuff that you saw on screen. So yeah, I mean, the cinematics team is a separate team from community. We like kind of spearheaded the messaging to get all the stuff collected, And then it was actually CCP Manifest and a couple of other guys who like kind of dug through all the recordings that we got sent in. And then, the cinematics team kind of like whipped everything together, then put together the visuals to go with what was happening on screen. So it's kind of like Gargant said, it's like a huge effort between like maybe 20 people at CCP to like pull all of like, to pull the text together, to pull all the videos together. Then we've got a capture artist who will grab all the footage. Then we've got video editors who'll edit the footage. Then the sound guys go in and equalize all your voices. So it's like, it's a super involved process. So there's not really one team deals in it. But I mean, judging by the reaction that we got from This Is Eve, it's something that I think is probably going to be repeated at some point.
Yeah, I'd also like to thank the CSM in helping with the trailer because they've been more and more involved with different teams inside of CCP, and one of the teams was Cinematics team during This Is Eve, when somebody from Cinematics talked to a guy and he was like, hey, can you help me with this? And he was like, yeah, sure. And our cinematic guys have never spoken to CSM before, but after they've been like in a close contact, talking to each other, gathering some videos, putting it together, and I know that some of them went into the actual This Is Eve trailer, and this was a great thing to see because I'm trying to put CSM inside of the company in as much focus as I can, and this was one of the examples when it worked out.
It was also one thing that the community team did fight very, very hard for in terms of the This Is Eve trailer was for us to release it completely uncensored. Because, it's kind of, we saw a censored version of it, and then we saw a version of it that was just raw with like all of the questionable language still in it. And it just felt like so much better that there was no sort of bleeps, there was no silences, that kind of thing. It just kind of felt a lot more raw and a lot more what Eve is about, when there was sort of a little bit of bad language in it, and there was like heated discussion and that kind of thing. So it was kind of sort of a step away from what we've done in the past when we've done like super clean, super crisp marketing style promotional videos, and I think it worked. It served us really well, and like every one of us was super surprised when we saw the reaction from people. And I'm assuming you guys all liked it. So
I'm sorry, one last thing connected to it. Do you guys think of doing an archive? Because you said that this is something that could come up again, but it could be very interesting to keep an archive of player stories or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, part of our job is to constantly watch all the shenanigans that you guys get up to on YouTube. So there's like, I know I can't speak of the rest of the team, but I have like a library of bookmarks for YouTube on my machine where I'm just like, if I get like sad, I'll go and watch someone get horrifically ganked or pipe bombed, and it's funny and cheers me up a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely something that we keep an eye on anyway. We keep a decent repository of cool stuff that you guys have done. So, but this time around, it was less about sort of gathering what we felt was funny and what like the marketing team felt was funny and what you guys thought was great that you could submit, that you thought really like made Eve shine. And that's why we ended up with what we did, which worked out pretty well in the end.
So you got paid for watching YouTube?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. We have to watch what the community does. We are the community team.
Yes, I am. I have another question regarding numbers. As you can see on your website with the sticker, what you have in there, wouldn't it be possible to put it also inside the client? Because I find it very interesting when I'm doing, let's say, updating orders. Yeah. That I could have a ticker on inside the client, seeing that, like watching German television, NTV, seeing on the bottom line all actual market data running into that region at the moment. Could be very interesting, and also an indicator of how many ships are blowing up at the moment. Because if you're in a quiet system, that's probably nothing worth to see. But if you are in a busy system and traveling through it, it's possibly a very good indicator if you should move forward or not.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the things that happened, I think it was last year when info panels were released, when we changed like all the autopilot stuff and whatnot, was one of the suggestions that went in internally was to put like kind of like a traffic control and news ticker at the bottom that would show you like hot systems in like the constellation or the region that you're in. So if anyone ever jumps into Udama, like everything starts flashing red and people start screaming and stuff, that kind of thing. But like, it was it was something that was initially considered, like putting a ticker in, and then I think the idea was shelved mainly because like it would just make the screen too noisy with stuff constantly moving, and you're also trying to watch your overview, and you know, if you get into PvP, then you're watching like your velocity, you're watching all kinds of things, you're watching what people are doing, you're watching your own cap, your armor, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's like it's something that was suggested, but was I don't think it really got any further than the concept stages. But you should definitely, if you think it's worthwhile, you should definitely talk to some of our UI designers while you're over here, because they'll definitely be interested to hear comments regarding it. We were also considering at one point as well about like putting a couple of info panels in the game that would reflect the community news feeds. So you would get like the in-character news appear in an info panel if you selected it to have it on screen, and the same thing with like the devlogs feed and that kind of thing. It was something that we considered as well, but just because of time constraints and wanting to get like really big stuff like the autopilot stuff and the agent mission statistics and stuff like that in the info panels, it kind of got shelved. But definitely grab some of the UI designers if you think that it's something worthwhile, and like just talk to them about it, because that's what Fanfest's about.
I just want to say that one of the glorious things about a sandbox is that it's the people playing in the sandbox that add perspective to the sand. In the context of EVE, I like that the community team is working on things like the scope and having all these, whether it's visual, audio, or just like charts saying that me as a player, I look at this and I feel involved. I feel empathetically connected to EVE. And through that investment, I play EVE. And it's safe to say that generating a investment on behalf of the player is a positive thing. But my question is this: if you have a choice to just, you said the screen is noisy, I disagree, but right. So what if you had an option, just like you have the option to try the beta map, to just say, oh, give me everything, give me this super supremo grande whatever, have as much information as possible. You're adding more sand to the sandbox, and in a normal circumstance that floods the walls, but when it's optional, it's optional, right? So what holds the community team back from saying, let's give the players as much information about what they've done and what other players are doing as possible, of course avoiding, you know, giving intelligence right to the players.
If I have such a screen, I can populate all the
Yeah, everyone who plays EVE just needs to get a 4K screen, then we'll fix the problem. But yeah, I mean, like to answer the question like super directly, it's mainly like development constraints and timelines. Stuff like this could go in if we like pitch it and the UI designers think that it's a good idea and it's in line with the vision that they have for the UI. But in the same respect, it comes down to being able to get the time from a programmer to do it, you know, for it to go onto a backlog for features, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it's something that can be considered, but in the same respect, it's like we do have a website for this kind of stuff as well. So we sort of it's good to double up our messaging sometime, but we kind of just don't really get the bandwidth to do it, kind of thing.
Is there a way that in order to circumvent the time and development constraints and needs, you could put something, you know, kind of like you do with the fan site kit? You can put a kit up on the EVE website where people can, if they're curious, download this data. So it's not like you're spending time implementing it in the context of a program. The person can just say, oh, I'm really curious how many of this word was said, or how many times people brought up this subject matter.
Things like, well, I mean, for what you're saying there, it relates more to chat. That type of information, like, we don't particularly want to, like, share in that sort of format that people can basically not be actually a listener to the conversation and get it. Like, there are data protection laws and things like that.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's,
but, I mean, there's, like, general statistics. There's a lot of statistics you can already get from the API. And as I said earlier, you probably really want to go to the keynote.
Yeah, that's true.
EVE Offline, before it was taken down, gave you actual chat data of major high-sec.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, that's because they've actually got a character there sitting in local.
Yeah,
okay.
And they were like scraping chat, basically. That's the way that it works.
All right.
It's super easy just to, like, because the EVE client actually streams your chat logs to a folder when you log text to chat.
Yeah.
And then you just read them from a text file in your cache folder. So it's like super easy to do if you want to just publish that to a website.
But
But
what-
yeah,
But the question you're asking is probably better aimed at somebody that works with the API.
because the data would come directly from Tranquility, it would just get streamed straight out.
Does anyone else have questions? Let's start from that side of the room. We haven't had anybody right on the end.
Red and white over there.
Hi. I'm looking for aliens bookmarks.
Unfortunately, this
You're really you've looked everywhere, haven't you? If you're asking us,
And the
Yeah.
answer?
aliens bookmarks.
you'll have to. Who was it that was handling the bookmarks in space? Was it?
was that CCP Shark?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So it's either UI programmers or
The thing though with Alliance bookmarks that makes it a lot more complicated than corporation bookmarks is that alliances aren't actually entities that can own objects.
So what we're gonna say is we're the community team. We actually don't have anything to say with actual development, even though Logibro here knows what it works. But
Some people like to experiment more.
you would have to ask one of the developers.
Look for a gentleman who you'll see walking around called CCP Shark who has an amazing mustache.
Yeah,
like
the best
incredibly
mustache in
curly.
the Harpa.
And he'll be able to answer your questions about Alliance bookmarks. It's
Yeah,
not
some
our
of them.
field, unfortunately.
There who is it? Is it 5-0? I think that's doing
Yeah, I think it's 5-0.
who's doing the role like changes in the UI right now.
I can't remember offhand. But yeah, you want to go to one of the UI sessions and you'll be able to catch one of the UI designers who'll be able to tell you more.
Okay, thanks. And one question about account management. Can I ask in German?
We have 2 Germans on the panel.
Yes, two. Kann man irgendwann beim Account Management wieder auf Bankeinzug zurückstellen? Weil was im Augenblick nicht geht, weder das Buchen der Tickets noch die Zahlweise.
So the question was about some specific payment method, specifically popular in German. I don't know anything about that specifically because it's really a very narrowed down question for billing issue. I don't know anything about that, but I can look into that and then come back to you. Maybe it's better just to chat after the session.
Okay.
I know a little bit about
Okay.
it if someone else is also interested. But I mean, this is more a German matter, so I guess because it's most popular in Germany. But since they switched to the IBAN and SEPA, Verfahren.
Never come back.
Yeah, no.
I've learned.
The thing is just every transaction to foreign countries has been a little difficult due to that. So that's simply the thing. Technically you can still do Bankeinzug, but you can't do it over those IBAN and BIC numbers.
Okay.
So that's kind of the background of that.
Okay.
Who else had a question?
Late.
Sorry, but back to the market. You have done a lot against bots in the past. You have an eye on the market bots, or do you believe that market bot exists?
You should definitely talk to Team Security. They have, what time is their presentation? I think it's actually on Saturday. Team Security. Somebody's going to check their phone. But there is a panel and a round table that you definitely want to attend from them. I think it might be at 2 or 1 o'clock on Saturday. We're going to get confirmation in a bit. But yeah, that's completely out of our purview. We do
You're
not
gonna have
do.
a fantastic presentation, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was actually
Team Security. They're going to have a
yeah,
fantastic
Team Security.
presentation.
They have a couple of presentations. They have a panel and a round table lined up. I was actually looking over at CCP Peligro's shoulder while he was making his presentation, and it's pretty extensive.
Yeah, it's Saturday at 3.
So close. So 3 o'clock, and then the round table's at 4 o'clock. I think it's the session after.
Yeah, anything relating to automation or anything relating to like stuff like the all famous IS Boxer and whatnot will all be covered in the Team Security panel and the round table as well. So if you want to find out anything about automation or have any questions answered in that respect, then just feel free to fire them at those guys, and they'll be able to tell you exactly where we stand.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else has a question?
I have another question.
I have another question. Okay.
Another topic. Do you have a thing about the skin? Ship skins are very good. You have about shipskins for Alliance, complete Alliance. So he's
So-
one of our senator of Alliance.
So alliance skins.
Yes.
Okay, for shipskin stuff, there's also a panel for that.
Yeah, there's actually a session for shipskins as well.
I think that's tomorrow.
It's always fun when you have your panel on the first day because everyone asks you all of the questions. It's the best. But yeah, it's something that I feel like super strongly about.
You should also watch the keynote.
You should also watch the keynote, yeah, actually, because as some people know, we've had the last year or so, we've had a bit of an Alliance logo drama. And it's something actually I kind of expected a lynch mob to be here ready to string me up over the whole Alliance logo thing. Because I've had a few choice words with people about it. But yeah, we've actually come to a conclusion on the whole Alliance logo fiasco. And CCP Seagull will be given a little bit more of an update in the keynote as well. And we're actually going to be looking to accept Alliance logo submissions in the middle of April. As soon as we get out of Fanfest, we'll be sitting down and probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll be opening up submissions again. But there'll be different criteria and all kinds of things. But going back to your original question about skins, like Alliance-based skins, there's a decent size presentation coming later today by CCP Seagull where I should be covering it. And there's also a specific session.
And there's a
regarding
roundtable
skinning.
tomorrow at 3,
Yeah.
which is called Chipskins.
So you want to talk to those guys? Like I am one of the people at CCP who firmly has like the massive flag in the air saying we should definitely do this and we should definitely allow people to express their Alliance identities or their loyalty to NPC corporations via, if they're role players, via like being able to fly ships that are branded, like you know, with corporate logos and Alliance logos, that kind of thing, or just customized colors. So I'm like a very, very big supporter of this in CCP, and it's something that I really, really want to see happen. So, and I know there's a lot of other people who are very, very for it. It's just a matter of sort of getting the technology in place. And I know that the art team are working on that. So you should definitely go to their sessions and definitely sit in on the keynote because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there.
Thank you.
Can we
Let's go
drop
right
across
over
to
to,
this
yeah,
side?
you guys have asked some questions before, so we'll get it right over to the other side here. Okay. Just go from one extreme to the other.
I thought CCP Manifest was going to ask a really awkward question there and put us all on the spot.
What do you want to know, man?
So I have a question. On one of the meetings in Russia, which wasn't some time ago, the CCP Seagull said about some mobile programs about Eve, like for chats, emails, and probably skills. With new skill queue, we don't need now skill points on our cell phones, but something like chats and email on client or like cell phones.
That's also something you should ask API guys about.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything that happens relating to like chat and stuff like that comes out of the client and off Tranquility to like our websites and stuff comes out through Crest basically.
Yeah.
So it's a case of I know there's been talk about it, like it'd be really nice to have mobile apps that you could do that with. And yeah, it's something that I think there might be some content in it from the keynote. If not, there's plenty of people who deal with the API. CCP Fox4, for instance, will be your best friend in the whole wide world if you talk to him about the API. So yeah, it's something that like would be really, really powerful for the community team to be able to have access to like basically chat channels and stuff like that in game via mobile device. It would be super good. So yeah, it's a good idea to talk to our API guys about it, definitely. The more people we have like saying, yeah, let's do this, the more case that we have to say, hey guys, come on, you know.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so who else has a question?
So this is about the scope videos. Right
Sure.
now, most of them are, relatively serious news. Station gets taken or something. Could we also include some silly news that happens throughout Eve? Shuttle gets destroyed with 87 plex. Market decision. Somebody sold something for 10 billion ISK that was worth 1 ISK or whatever, just randomly.
That's
Yeah.
really mean.
It's like, yeah, it's like, well, it's really mean, but it's also funny. I'm on your side with this one.
Yeah,
But,
there's no
so yeah.
specific criteria for like it has to be news of certain caliber. It's like it'll probably expand to do all kinds of news, I would think.
Yeah.
It's like we had the Revenant Kill that we recently did a scope article about. I guess it's just more a case of picking which things to do because we only have limited bandwidth to make these videos with. So
It's generally like, all credit to CCP Loki. If you see the guy around over the course of FanFest, he'll be roaming around with a camera. He's doing like random crazy roaming interviews. Give him a hug and tell him how much you love the videos, because that guy is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to putting those things out. The community team give him a little bit of assistance with like content and like writing tickets and stuff like that for him, but he's like at work till like 3 o'clock in the morning rendering these things. So yeah, he's a one-man show as far as that goes. But what we generally tend to do, we don't really have a criteria for the scope videos, but what we do tend to do is like look at the news that's kind of trending, the stuff that's like really big news that a lot of people are talking about, and that's the kind of stuff that we'll use. But you raise a valid point that maybe it's a good idea to get some of the news out there that's sort of less exposed and draw a bit more attention to it. So it's something that I work with CCP Loki a lot on these, so it's something I'll talk to him about definitely, and we'll see what we can do.
Even if we don't like a full video exposing that particular event, that's the type of thing that can very easily be put into one of the tickers though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So like a ticker at the bottom while the main content is throwing, saying, you know, Plex destroyed in so-and-so system or whatever, just as like a little funny quip for other people watching the video as stuff is happening. I mean, anything to just add whatever.
Well, you can see the standard we set when we talked about Bob fundamentalists.
Yeah, there's the videos in some places are a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but we kind of try and keep them relatively serious. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no reason why we can't put news of that caliber, like of a caliber that's less talked about but is equally important, and kind of bring it to the front. There's no problem at all with that. It's something I'll actually talk to CCP Loki about. We can see what we can do with it.
Cool. I actually just want to add one thing to that, but you're right, like exposing some of the funny things are really good, and we use social media for that a little bit more than like investing a lot into a video for it. So if you have things you think would be funny for that, send it to shareateveonline.com. That's it.
Who is that guy?
So Eve already has like this huge, amazing community that's all into helping and doing lots of stuff. But Dust has a lot younger community, and Valkyrie doesn't even have a community exactly yet. But I wanted to know what you guys think about, you know, helping these communities grow, and especially Valkyrie, as it's like something way in the future.
Well, that's pretty much our job. Like, that's like what we are charged with doing at CCP. Like, the number going up is good for us. The number going down for us is super bad for us. So yeah, I mean, like we all have a really, really vested interest in making sure that things grow. I mean, there's people who have specific like sort of areas of expertise. For instance, like, you know, CCP Leeloo's like more involved with sort of growing the CSM and growing awareness and growing voter turnout. And then CCP Fandom and CCP Shadowcat are more, you know, ingrained in the German community. CCP Tara is more the French community. So we all have our own sort of little areas that we specialize in. But yeah, I mean, any growth for us is good. And, you know, when the community is really, really charged with discussion after something like This Is Eve, or, you know, after a scope video comes out, there's a lot of discussion on Reddit because a war's just kicked off, that kind of stuff, then it's great for us. It's fantastic for us. And I'm sure like Gargant will tell you how busy his life is around the Alliance tournament as well. Like, you know, we like to see growth. We like to see you guys active. So for us, like, any ideas that people fire at us that'll sort of, you know, put growth on an upward trend is fantastic for us.
But I'd also like to add that we are not just hunting for numbers. We're also trying to make sure that the community is healthy and that everybody's happy.
It's all about health.
Yeah, like with new games like Valkyrie, there's going to be a lot of things that have to be done in the beginning just to provide like basic support for community, like platforms for people to discuss things, and, you know, even down to like, you know, hashtags or whatever that people use. And then, you know, a lot of community originated stuff that we then take and highlight and just make sure that, you know, people see other people doing cool stuff, and then they, you know, get ideas to do cool stuff, and that's how you just kind of, you know, push the snowball along.
Yeah, that's basically it. I think we've got time for like one more question.
You knew this was coming. You mentioned earlier that part of your job, which you get paid for, is to look at the latest YouTube video of somebody in Eve doing something silly. Yeah. And I have to ask, I owe it to myself to ask, have you ever been technically paid to watch a video of me eating fish?
No, I can't say that I have.
No? No? We
No.
save that for off the clock, you know.
No, that's like, private, off the clock, behind closed doors kind of stuff. Yeah. There are certain areas of the internet we only venture to out of hours, and I think that qualifies most certainly as that.
Okay.
We're trying to.
I also don't like fish, so like it's really not my thing.
We're trying to look into E-related content while we're at work.
Yeah.
So.
If you tried eating a navitas, which kind of looks like a fish, then maybe that would work. But yeah, just a fish. Yeah. It's
Also,
not
when
really
looking through submissions for ads during the 07 show or ads for the Alliance tournament or any sort of submissions for anything, then we put on our little internet knot suits.
Yeah.
Go diving.
Hazmat.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Very much so.
We've seen some things.
We've seen some things.
We don't talk about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
I
a
used to
special
then-
budget for counseling.
Yeah, I used to be like, like some of us have done GM work in the past, and like that's also very interesting. Like looking at all the links that people are reporting. Yeah, like this is.
If you report the link,
I know.
it has to be judged whether it's offensive or not. Naturally,
So you guys do the judging as to whether or not the content is in fact offensive or not.
whether it breaks our EULA, yes.
Whether it's like also just whether it's attractive to use or whether it's whether it's good quality, all kinds of aspects that we look into.
You quickly find out who has the tolerance for looking at pictures like that. Or
No, actually, if
It's-
you're a GM and you're investigating, and if it's a video, you have to investigate it all. So if it's 10-hour video, you would spend 10 hours.
That's a lie.
I can
That's a lie, but
I can tell you, like, it helps if you kind of squint. Then you see it unclearly. You can kind of make out what it is, but you don't really have to take it in too much detail. That
then you need to describe your investigation. So you need to say what you've actually seen, and that's the best part of it.
All right, guys, that's all the time we've got for questions. It's been very
Thank you all for coming.
Interesting. So we'll probably want to get ready for the keynote, which is in, what, an hour and 15 minutes or so?
We are also the most approachable people in the company, so if you see us about, just come along and ask us whatever you want to ask us. Or
that's a trap.
Whatever. That's not a trap.
Oh, believe me, it is.
And if you
Thank
guys want, we can talk about this Bankeinzug thingy.
But thank you all for coming.
All right, thank you.